What's up guys, it's me Deshaun and I'm back with another manga review. This time we're going to be talking about a series called Alien 9. Now I watched this series when I was high school and there's just something about its atmosphere and horror that really piqued my interest. I'm very into aliens. It's kind of funny because when you look at my past reviews, we've covered a very alien heavy series like Dawn to Dawn. Then we looked at an original sci-fi manga like Takudu that could take the genre and push it to different avenues in terms of anime. And then last but not least, we have the psychological romantic horror story known as Flowers of Evil. Now Alien 9 is practically a combination of all three of those mangas. A psychological romance sci-fi that indeed does push the sci-fi genre in different areas, with cute yet disturbing biological horror, as these alien parasites would hop on these girls' heads, or any humans' heads for that matter, and slowly become one with their hosts. In Alien 9, they basically take these girls, and these alien parasites function as if they're Kirby hats, giving these girls vastly different abilities. Now, unfortunately, I would have loved to see more of these abilities, but for the most part, they're separated into clans, so the main hat you're going to be seeing is the frog with angel wings, the Borg. It's like watching that one friend playing a Kirby game and he's only using cutter and beam. Like, oh my fuck. Funny thing about this series is the fact that it would also seem to have a cult following. Way back then, a lot of people were really into this anime and its adaptation, and I don't blame them. It's very low-key. I'd kind of compare it to how people really like the anime Galaxy Angel. But anyways, this is a very moe psychological horror. With that being said, you're going to expect a lot of things that come with the territories that revolve around all of those things, for better and for worse. At times, this series can be very graphic and disturbing, and you don't want to see that. That's one thing, and if you don't want to see it happen to cute anime girls that you may like, this series might be off-putting. But if you do want to see that, it's right here. Now, the things that I got my enjoyment most out of this series was how real it was when it came to dealing with these characters, especially the main character, Yuri, and how they'd compare her between her other two friends slash side characters, Kumi and Kasumi. Yuri is practically your average girl. You could even say that she is very boring, no real hobbies, nothing. She lays in bed all the time and has a few friends. Maybe she'll read a magazine, do some girly things here and there. That's about it to her. But her friends, on the other hand, are extremely talented and even considered to be geniuses. Now, when the school practically puts her into this alien hunting unit, every single time when she encounters an alien, she's in fear. She's practically useless and brings the entire team down. While Kasumi and Kumi, on the other hand, are so smart and talented that they excel at their job in ways that Yuri could only dream of. Yuri would be so useless that her life would constantly be at risk, and Kumi and Kasumi are burdened by her, always having to save her, because Yuri would lack any form of survival skills or independence. And you see how it basically beats her up mentally, as she always yammers about wanting to quit and how she doesn't like aliens. If you were to look at the relationships between these girls and the alien parasites that they have, Kumi would take care of her Borg, Kasumi would love her Borg so much she'd even sleep with it, while Yuri would sigh every single time she looks at him. There's a lot of interesting things going on if you can appreciate them, but at some time or at some point I couldn't help but feel as if Yuri's cowardice could come across as very annoying. But as the series progresses, you grow to like Yuri even more because you start to understand where she's actually coming from. She's a regular girl thrown into a weird class with a bunch of weirdos. And despite never really liking her class, she actually finds a form of companionship between these two elites that she's working alongside. Outside of Yuri, the rest of the cast is great. I like the relationship turmoil and drama that happens between the characters. Yuri's dislike and fear of aliens, and how it would impact her relationship between the other two characters from beginning to end. At first, she doesn't like the aliens, and it gets in the way of their work, and that makes a character like Kumi dislike her. But after they form a bond, that same dislike for aliens would also cause turmoil between them and their connection when all of these characters become closer than ever before. While you're at a young age, you're still finding yourself. and your idea on what you want out of that connection might not be the same as your partner's. This manga says a lot about relationships, regardless of who or what you are. This is why a lot of the times these girls would have to take the aliens alive and not kill them. It's all about forming a bond with something despite whatever it may be. Just like how these girls form connections with the Borgs that they wear on their heads. It's kind of like accepting lingering feelings that are there rather than being afraid of them. Kumi would even be a perfect example of this as a character with the overall message of the story, because she likes to protect everyone and everything around her. She never has a moment to think about herself. At first glance, when I read this series, I thought this was some cringe moe yuri crap that was unfortunately going to ruin the innovation and great ideas that this mangaka brought within this series. But it's come to my attention that is absolutely not the case, because there's a lot of smart writing going on here. And you need to see the bigger picture. That's why you'd have to read Alien 9, Alien 9 Emulators, and then the sequel, Alien 9 Next. And after reading it all, I just couldn't help but feel as if this series in itself was just fire, and that I wanted more of it. I wanted this series to become more concrete with its identity and what it wanted to do. I like the fighting, I like the Jet Set Radio thing they got going on with these middle school girls wearing gym uniforms, skating around, hunting aliens with lacrosse sticks as these parasites are riding their head, fighting these aliens back. Everything was just so good about it. The alien designs are absolutely terrifying, creative, and still retained a natural or animalistic type vibe to them. Like it makes you wonder what kind of planet they'd live on if they did exist. There's just something so crazy about seeing this cow-like, bizarre strength-having creature running down the hallways and beating on the doors of these classrooms, and these girls would have to incapacitate this creature because over time humanity decided that they wanted to live in peace. Seeing this fat, bizarre, duck-billed alien sitting on the school, creating hallucinations, and sending out signals giving everyone in the school headaches. I wanted to see what other things the creator of this was going to bring to the table with this series. I wanted to see more clans outside of the Drill Clan and the Sunflower Clan. Other schools would have been great, anything. But despite the flaws that this series has, I did find some enjoyment out of it. And the big issue here is these aren't just really tiny flaws. For the most part, the other mangas that I've read I could easily recommend to you, but when it comes to this manga specifically, there's a lot of glaring ones. Ideas and plot points that never get fully utilized, in the series feeling like it's been cut short. There are insane year gaps between every single part of this series. The original Alien 9 was made in 1998, Emulators was made in 2002, and then the sequel was made in 2015. Now it is unknown whether or not the creator of this plans on coming back, but I'm gonna tell you right now that ending made it seem like he wanted a sequel, and I still got a lot of questions. Like who gets with who, what are the original Borg, so much stuff. It just makes me mad because I really feel like this is a bunch of untapped potential, because this series, like no doubt in my mind, I felt like it could have been one of the next biggest things, especially if it's handled properly. I don't know if this story got cut off because the lack of popularity behind it, and relevancy because of the big ass gaps between all of these mangas, but it's frustrating because these alien designs were so amazing. These characters were very likable, and the drama between them, the relationship themes that they tackled with this series, you don't see it in every manga, especially like this. You get art like this panel right here, and these girl characters are just so cold, smoking these aliens. I would have wanted to see more characters, more gadgets, more big-ass aliens like the Yellowknife invading the school. The biomechanical, organic thing that you get going on, like near the end in the very last manga, you just see this giant, nasty-looking Yellowknife fusion, and they use it as like a contraption to send out signals into space. Even the psychological moments when you see these characters tweak out when they're inside of the Yellowknife's stomach, or in the end of the first manga when you get a look inside of Yuri's head when another parasite gets on her, it was good. Like, this series has so many good ideas, and he just should have just kept like dragging it a little more, incorporating it into the plot a lot more. But it feels like a cool idea is thrown into your face, and it's over. And I hate that. I really do hate that, because I don't think we're gonna get any more creative ideas that are as interesting as this. Insane sci-fi, insane relationship talk, alongside moe style and typical shonen action, with gore to a point that American readers that actually interviewed this mangaka thought he was bullied. They were like, hey, that scene that you draw with the girls getting like torn to shreds, were you bullied as a child? Because that was it's kind of gruesome. It's frustrating because it's like another classic lost to time that was really pushing some boundaries with its writing, and we may or may not ever see the ending to this. Do I recommend it? I can't recommend it. But if you are interested in the same things that I am, I definitely think check it out. I'd say look at the anime, just see what it's like. Find some inspiration from this, because I don't feel like Alien 9 deserves to die out. Seeing these girls have parasites on their head and they eventually fuse with them gives you this crazy sense of horror, as these aliens even just become their hair. They start drilling whatever foe may like come in front of them with this same hair. It was kind of drippy, I'm not even gonna lie. But then there's things like, okay, well, if this is what happens when a drill Borg fuses with someone all the way, what does it look like when a Sunflower Clan member fuses with a girl all the way? At worst, this is untapped potential that definitely needed more time in the oven. At best, this is probably one of the best psychological sci-fis, and maybe the only one that talks about relationships. This manga in itself gives off like visual novel from the early 2000s kind of vibes, with the interesting edge that it has with it. The most we can say here is hopefully we get like an uprising with this series, and we can get another sequel or ending or just something, because I just want to know what the greater message was with this series. I get the idea, I get what the meaning of it is, I know what the author was pushing for, but I want to see what the outcome leads to. And if you read it, because I've been ducking spoilers this entire time, if you read it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Despite everything, this manga, even the anime, just oddly sticks with you so easily. It just leaves an impression, despite the glaring flaws that it has. If you could just, I don't know, like deal with flaws that most modern anime have, with plot holes and plot lines never getting concluded and shit endings, give this a try. If you're tired of that, then I don't know what to say. This isn't too much of a commitment because it's not that long of a series, but if you want heat in every single aspect or just something different, maybe give it a shot. Don't let the ending make you mad. Now, with all that being said, I hope to see you guys in the next video. What do you think of Alien 9? Have you heard of this series before? Do you like it? What mangas do you want me to read? Also, consider donating and sending me manga recommendations, and I will review your manga of your choosing, if it's your own or something you just want me to read. With that, y'all take it easy.